Hi, this is Rabbi Young. Thank you for tuning in to the weekly video email. This week we are reading Parashat Shemot, the very beginning of Exodus. And in Parashat Shemot, we have some of the amazing female characters that don't always get the biggest mentions in our studies and practices. Shifra and Puah. Shifra and Puah are two Egyptian handmaids who work as midwives, and Pharaoh has told them that when they are giving or helping Hebrew women give birth, that they should kill any of the male babies that are born. And so they don't do it because it says they fear God. And Pharaoh says, "What are you doing? Why are you letting them live?" And the midwives tell him, "Well, Hebrew women are strong, and by the time we get there, they already have the baby, and we're of no use, so we have no control. We don't get it." And so God is kind to the midwives, and their people end up doing well. The people who come from Shifra and Puah, and I see this as a moment to acknowledge that these two women, they're heroes for the Hebrew people, our ancestors, but they're not Hebrews. They're Egyptian. And they were respectful of the Hebrew religion. They feared God, as it says, but that fear is not afraid of. That fear is being in awe of. And I think if we think about how we live today and how the different cultures tend to treat each other, I think we have a lot to learn from Shifra and Puah. I heard a story on a podcast just this morning of an Israeli woman who was rushing to get to the bus. She gets on the bus and she reaches in her purse, and she doesn't have her what's called a Ravkav, the bus card that you can like reload with money. And she's trying to download an app that does the same thing. And the ticket checker comes by and she's like, I'm trying to download this app. Can you help me? He says, "No, I don't have time. Where's your Ravkov?" And she says, "Okay." He tells her she has to get off at the next stop. And so she's working on that. And then there's this kid in the back who's been kind of like sleeping and looks kind of afraid of the ticket checker. And this is clearly a Palestinian kid. And when the ticket checker gets to this kid, a man in the front of the bus stands up and says, "I've paid twice. He can have my second ticket." Who is the man who stood up in the front of the bus? A Hasidic dressed Jewish man. So here's this man being a hero like Shifra and Puah to a culture that not only does he not know, but a culture that is often seen of as at odds with Israeli culture. And yet he says, "I've got this boy. Don't worry." Now, the person telling the story asked him to cover her too, and she paid him in cash and she was fine. But the point is, we never know what someone is going through if we only look at what they are like on the outside. Shifra and Puah, these Egyptian midwives, are doing their job, but they're also respecting Hebrew culture. They're respecting the Israelite women and the sanctity of human life, not willing to destroy lives for this just because the Pharaoh told them to. They went out of their way to help someone, just like that Hasidic man on the bus did in Jerusalem sometime last week. And as we look around our world, I wonder how we can help people who are different from us. How can we look at what they're going through and not what they look like? How can we look at what problems they want to solve instead of what people of their culture are doing in our own imagination? So I hope that this is a week full of taking a second look, a deeper look and acknowledging that people different from us should be treated with dignity, respect, and even given help when it's clear that they need it. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will, God willing, see you soon.